Tasmania, and Tasmania is here today saying that these are not Tassal seas, not Huon Aquaculture's beaches. These are our seas, our beaches, our coastline. It is our Tasmania that we love, not a quarry for foreign-owned, tax-evading multinationals to rape and destroy. We've got a message for them. It's over. It's over. We're not stopping. Today, we're faced with the worst environmental catastrophe in recent Tasmanian history, and accompanying it, the biggest cover-up our island has experienced since the 1989 Rouse bribery scandal. A sordid cover-up that threatens to only worsen the public health and environmental consequences of this ongoing catastrophe. And that's because both industry and government are terrified of the truth getting out. Luke Martin, as oily a salmon fatball as any ever washed up on this beach, has tried to spin this disaster as a natural phenomenon. It is not. It is a man-made disaster. The issue of salmon companies' greed and the corruption of our major parties, of those politicians who for decades acted not as regulators, but as a protection racket for big salmon, enablers of their very worst practices. This scandal is the climax of 30 years of a rogue industry becoming a state within a state, so powerful that it dictates to our bureaucrats, our ministers and premiers, even our Prime Minister, just how it will lock up and destroy our seas and destroy any who seek to stand in its way. Where is Anthony Albanese, who says he stands up for Tasmanian communities today? Where is Jeremy Rockcliffe, who in public said he will hold the salmon industry to account, but who in private, at his secret $4,000 a head Liberal Party donors dinner, said to Henry Batista, the CEO of Huon Aquaculture, that Batista would get everything he wanted, even though Rockcliffe knew it would be unpopular. And where is Julie Collins, federal member for Franklin, the Minister for Doing Nothing, who was Housing Minister for 3 years and did nothing, who's now Aquaculture Minister, who has boasted that she is, quote, a long-time supporter of the salmon industry, who believes that we can protect our environment and have a thriving industry. If the industry's so great, Julie, why the hell won't you front this rally here today and explain how beaches covered in rotting salmon is protecting our environment? Or will the Albanese government just exempt these areas from all federal environmental law, like you plan to do at Macquarie Harbour when the species started going extinct there? Perhaps Jolie would like to explain the waters we cannot swim in, the waves we cannot surf, the beaches we cannot walk on, the very real risk of superbugs infecting other creatures, or perhaps even us. Tell us, Julie, how any of this is world's best practice, how any of this is sustainable. Then there are the wild fish we cannot eat. If you're worried, fish somewhere else, Wes Ford, the head of the EPA, has advised us. Really, Wes? Do we need to swim somewhere else? Are we meant to live somewhere else? There are so many unanswered questions. Why is the government lying to us still about the amount of dead salmon, saying it is 5,500 tonnes, when we now know from government sources it is at least 15,000 tonnes and daily rising? Why does the EPA, as someone said to me the other day, the everything that profits arseholes agency? Why does the EPA say that the level of antibiotics in wild fish would be too low to be a health problem when its own investigations of previous antibiotic dumps revealed that wild fish were found several kilometres from fish farms with antibiotics above levels considered safe for human consumption? How can the EPA admit, as it did on Friday, that there should be, quote, as little contamination of our environments with antibiotics as possible, unquote, to minimise, they went on, superbugs developing, when the same EPA has done nothing to act to reduce the colossal amount of antibiotics being poured into our most popular waterways for decades? 3 years ago, in just 1 week, over half a tonne of antibiotics was poured into the Shepherd's Farm opposite Calora. That's enough antibiotics for a full adult course for 600,000 people, or 1.5 times the adult population of Tasmania. Why are we not allowed to know how much antibiotic is being used now, even when the EPA admits that the antibiotic abuse at gigantic scale poses a major public health risk? These are public waters, this is a public health issue, but why are these facts deemed commercial in confidence? And when the EPA says that salmon fat balls are safe because the level of antibiotic found in individual fat balls are low, they must know that this is scientifically wrong, that it is precisely low levels of antibiotics that allow for the mutation and proliferation of antibiotic-resistant superbugs, a point made again and again by eminent scientists and the World Health Organization. And the biggest question of all, and this is quite extraordinary, as salmon workers have been telling us, are salmon infected with the virus being slaughtered and sold for human consumption? And perhaps the answer to this question explains another lie we're being fed. Why the industry has told communities in writings, companies like TasSal have told communities that the virus isn't present in other salmon farms such as those on North Bruny, when we now know from government sources that the virus is now in every single salmon farm in southeast Tasmania. Could it be, and think about this, could it be because if all the salmon farms are infected, then they have to have been selling infected salmon? And as the virus continues to live in the fish flesh, is that salmon that people are buying and eating all round Australia safe? And even if it's safe this week, when it mutates next week, will it be safe? And even more shockingly, is it true, as industry workers also tell us, that salmon already dead from the virus are being processed for human consumption and also sold throughout Australia? And the reason no one in government or the salmon industry will answer this explosive question is because any answer would be a death blow to this industry. What will Australia think of the Tasmanian salmon industry if they learn that dead salmon covered in scabs and lesion and rotting within was their salmon sushi last night? We have a unique chance with the forthcoming federal election to bring change. Win or lose, we can show the major political parties that they need to answer to the 70% of Tasmanians, to us, who want inshore salmon farming ended. You can't be opposed to salmon and vote for Liberal or Labor. You have to vote for an anti-salmon candidate. Persuade your friends, persuade your family to do the same. In Lyons, give your vote to Alistair Allen. In Franklin, give your vote to Owen Fitzgerald, or give your vote to Peter George, who has for over a decade bravely led the fight against this industry. In Denison, give your vote to Andrew Wilkie. And don't let your preferences go to a Liberal or Labor candidate. Make sure your number 2 vote goes to other anti-salmon candidates. And if you've got time, help the candidates. And in the long run, we're going to win, because we're on the right side of history. And in a dark time, know that by helping, that darkness that seems all around us at the moment, that will start to evaporate and dissolve, because you will have lit a candle of hope within yourself and within others. And we will win because our love of our island home, our beautiful, beautiful island home, is stronger than the Salmon Corporation's greed. So please use your vote to tell Big Salmon this simple message. Get out of the sea and onto land, get properly regulated, or get the hell out of Tasmania. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I just want to really quickly do a shout out to Rosalie Woodruff and Vicar Bailey.